Welcome again to paperairplanes.co.uk. That's my website. I'm Alex Schultz. What I wanted to show you today was the Origami paper airplane, as it's called on my website. Kind of as old as paper airplanes get. It's back on the square paper that the Japanese used and the Chinese used for like early origami and so on and so forth. So this is the plane. It's quite, I think, one of the harder ones on the site to make. But the impressive, if you like, thing about the Origami paper airplane is quite how well it flies for a non-traditional, if you like, paper airplane by being from a square piece of paper rather than rectangular. So I'll rerun this every time I do these kind of planes. The way to get yourself a square piece of paper to begin with is to first of all crease a diagonal line on a piece of rectangular paper. You take the top edge, the shorter edge if you like, and you line it up along with the longer horizontal edge. You then create a diagonal fold across the piece of paper like this. And then what you do is you use the line here as a guide, because clearly this edge is now the same size as this edge because this is a 45-degree angle. And using that guideline, use the very edge, the point here, make sure everything's really well lined up as you're going across. Produce a straight line across the bottom, and then you've got to be really firm with this line with your fingernail. Right along the crease, really, really firm. Open it up, flip it over, and then that same crease, really firm again the other direction. You've got to basically be breaking all of the sort of bonds there are in that pulp, weakening them by folding them really, really hard to make it very, very soft. And then I like to start from the diagonal end, from the end where the two creases meet, because that's usually the weakest point. And when you go the other way, it rips. And then holding your palm as flat as possible, keeping the pressure really close to the point that's being ripped, and going very slowly at the very end. Try and make sure, get yourself a nice straight line from the piece of paper that you've folded, and you've now got a square. Good news is with this particular plane, you actually start with a diagonal fold, so you've pre-created that. Sometimes those diagonal folds, when you create them, can be a real problem, but in this case that's not so. You have your diagonal fold as a bit of a guide. I always try with this plane to make this cut edge fold along the center, because even if you haven't made it sort of as perfectly straight as I did there, you tuck all the imperfections away and they don't affect the flight of your plane later on. So here's the first fold. You take this top line here, or this sort of edge here, you fold it in to fold right up against the crease, create a firm fold, flip it over, do exactly the same with the other side, bring it right in along the crease, fold that there pretty solidly, so you've got essentially a kite shape. Then what you do is you bring this down to be pretty much, and it doesn't really matter how exact it is, midway between the base and the line that you formed here. You take the point of your kite over, just like that, and here I like to make this fold pretty solid, because it's going to be crushed in a minute, so it's important that this fold is really, really sort of solid and good in both directions. So there you are. Next step you want to do is take this edge here and fold it along this line here. So just like this, bring it in, fold it down against this line. That was my hand in the way, sorry. You've got the line that was the top here, now folded in against here. Solid fold, and you see you reach this sort of perfect point with all these different lines coming together to this perfect point. Really solid fold. And I tend to, with this one, although it would be nice to have a really solid fold in the other direction, it's kind of hard to do because of the double folding. So I like to just flip it back and do a little bit of a crease in the other direction to weaken it for when we do the collapse in a second. Do the same on this side. Solid fold over. The line goes right along the center line. Bring it down. Nice really solid crease. Again, flip it over, just break it down the back. You don't have to be as solid the other way this time. Like that. Next step is another crush fold, or collapse fold even. So open it out, you see these two diagonals crossing, you see these two horizontals crossing. Unsurprisingly, that's the cross where your collapse is going to be. So fold in along those two diagonal lines you just created, squish it down so you get a shape like this. Again, you can see you want to bring these two in like this, squash it down, and then just collapse everything back down. It should form a lovely shape just like that. You can see there. Okay, made your plane much smaller. You take this area here, there's a natural line between these 2 points, right here. Fold that nose, what's going to be your nose, up along that line. Press it down nice and hard, then crease it with your nail. And then bring these edges here in along this straight line here. So again, just fold them over, nice and solid. It's kind of hard. This nose bit's always the hardest bit in this plane for me. Make this nose as perfect as possible. So, pad of the finger, and then the back of the nail. Do the same on the other side, pad of the finger. Crushing it up there, that's bad. Okay, pad of the finger. Just bring them to be right against each other as you bring it up. Right the way to the tip. Perfect. Perfect. There we go. Pat it down. Crush it with the nail. Crush it with the nail. Perfect. Now you fold the plane in half along the old original diagonal. Almost looks like jet intakes on the side of the nose. I kind of love that. And then what you do is, using the nose as a guide, you fold down your wings. Your wings should follow the exact line of the nose as you create them, like so. Then like so. Perfect. And then it's important to fold up the wingtips so they're a little bit angled, so that the front of the plane has a shorter fold, the back of the plane has a longer fold, and the wing inlets are sloping towards the back of the plane. Do that on both sides. What this does is it gives you a little bit of stability in your plane, which is really important. And it also gives a tiny bit of lift, because this plane sometimes likes to nosedive. And you can adjust these, like adjusting these wingtips, so the way that you adjust the lift that this type of plane has. So what you've got there is the Origami paper airplane, produced and ready to fly. So again, going to show you how this plane flies. I have in the past had some criticisms of my videos because they've not shown the planes actually flying. So here you go. Let's have a look at the Origami paper airplane flying. Flies pretty well. Here's another one I made earlier. See how this one goes. This didn't fly so well earlier. Perfect. There's the Origami paper airplane. I hope you enjoyed it.